Dan Markowitz, your brain balance dynamic meditation coach. Before we get going, let's all just take a good deep breath together. Today's short lesson is about how to de-stress during times where you just feel like maybe you're overwhelmed. And this is a muscle you want to literally continue building upon, because if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. So something may be very difficult, and does it make you feel hopeless? Does it make you feel just, man, I cannot believe this happened to me? Like maybe the proverbial Mack truck hit you, like getting fired suddenly. You know those events. And it may not be an event. Many people are living under chronic stress. What does that mean? There's, number one, there's the stress that is just kind of day to day. There's stress. That's the good stress. That's the, you're getting ready for a meeting and it's going to go well and you have those butterflies. Your brain doesn't know the difference between the bad stress or the good stress. So if you're getting ready to go to a meeting and you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing, just close your eyes, kind of defocus. If you're in a public space, look at 3 things on your desk and just think, this is going to go well. This nervous feeling in my belly is something that I'm actually excited about. And they have literally proven that people, before they go on stage, who say, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And, they do this, the contraction, versus the ones who say, oh, I have this nervous feeling. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. Those people who have the I'm excited self-talk have exponentially better presentations. It's something from Outliers, one of my favorite books. I think Mel Robbins talks about that too. So again, we're talking about how do we reframe how we're looking at things. So again, difficult situation, are you going to say, oh, this is just horrible, how I'm just never going to get over it? Okay. Number 1, embrace your self-worth. Really? We have to be reminded of this? Yeah, it's just one of those things, unless you were raised by exceptionally good parents or you came out exceptional, like Wayne Dyer. His background, raised in foster homes until his mother could get Wayne and his 2 brothers out and they could live together. He came from that experience saying, oh my God, I can do anything. I can make money shoveling snow here in Detroit. My father, who grew up in an orphanage, as they called it back during the Depression, in Abilene, Texas, came out thinking it was the most horrible experience in the world and woe is me and I'll never get ahead. They paid for him to go to college, and all of his brothers who were very successful. So we can come from different environments and still change the way we react to those environments. And it's never too late. You can be 50 years old. You could be 60 years old and wake up and say, oh, life is short. I am going to get on the ball. So embrace your worth. Look at yourself and say, I'm here. This is a miracle. Can you really feel that? I think personally, it's very hard for a lot of people to get into that state, but that's where you're aiming for if you don't have it. And let's use the example of getting released, getting fired. What is that word you use? And it came out of seemingly nowhere. Can you step back and take ownership for what part of that was your responsibility, respond with ability, versus Well, no, stay there. How much of this was really my responsibility? And responsibility under getting released from a job and you think it came out of nowhere could be, were you like 100% engaged and happy in this position for the last month, 90 days, or a year? 9 times out of 10, when I'm interviewing someone and I ask them that question, they're like, no, I was really just biding my time. Well, there is your responding with ability. Because if you are feeling that way in a relationship or in a job situation, that's your intuition saying, hey, update your resume, time to do something new. Time to go out and meet some new people. Maybe you need to break up with this one. That's you being in control. We're still on your self-worth. You got fired, you had something horrible happen in your mind. All right, so then the other aspect of it is, okay, I'm standing back and I'm looking at this as an autopsy of what happened in this relationship, what happened in this employment relationship. And, there was a lot of political in things going on. And perhaps I wasn't totally prepared for that. Again, look at it head on and take that responsibility. And look at this. It's like, okay, so how many other people were in this position before me? And were they also short-termers, or what is the pattern here? Because if you become good at recognizing patterns in your life, whether it's relationships, employment, wow, you are just going to be able to overcome things like that. So when we're looking at stressful situations, number one, we're looking at, how am I evaluating my self-worth? How am I responsible for it? What part of it am I not responsible for it? And think about, does it feel good to be able to look back and say, you know what? I'm not the only person who's ever experienced this. Having that realization that, again, you're not the only one who's ever experienced it, again, from a positive standpoint, not from a victim standpoint. Don't get into, oh, well, this is what's going on with everybody else and all employers stink. Take some responsibility of, when you walk in that door, what are you bringing to the table? Are you consciously going to your new supervisor and saying, hey, what can I do the first 90 days to be successful here? Versus just sitting there and waiting for them to train you. This is a reciprocal relationship. Set it up for winning. So that's how, these are just many, many ways to look at my contribution, my self-worth. Okay. And then let's look at number 2, and that would be optimistic. Something's not going exactly the way you want it to go. You ask yourself, can I change the way I look at this? And therefore it will change. If that doesn't work for you, then say, okay, we're going through an acquisition and it's extremely busy. Everything is changing. I'm going to give myself 30, 60, 90 days, you choose, to really just say, okay, this is what's going on at this moment. When I go to my job Monday, who knows what's going to change, but just kind of set yourself up for, oh, this is the way I'm looking at this particular situation. Maybe you have someone back in Florida who suffered from the hurricane. That too shall pass. Look at how many people who have had to start over. And that's another one. Is it, wow, okay, everything was wiped out. I get to start over. I know someone intimately, my brother-in-law, he was affected by Hurricane Andrew back in the 90s. And his attitude was, you know what? We're just going to make lemonade out of the lemons. So, how are you looking at these things? Okay, you get 5 minutes to say, this just stinks, whatever you want to say. And then it's time to embrace, where am I now? And how can you learn from this? So, regardless of the seriousness of the situation, it's not going to last forever. The storms don't last forever. Things do go in cycles. And if you can embrace that one concept, that may help your stress level just kind of evaporate. And so focus on where you want to be in that 90 days. And guess what? The company may still be going through acquisitions, but you might have picked up better time management skills during that 90 days because you're so focused and you're focusing in on a more positive way. And that's an interesting observation. If you're always in that negative energy, complaining, oh my God, they're changing everything, that closes possibilities. When you focus on the positive, even if you're kind of playing tricks with your mind, that opens up more opportunities to ideas. It's one of those things. So when dealing with the issue at hand, understand, yes, this too shall pass. And just in your mind, keep giving yourself those finite time frames. And set up times for when you wake up in the morning. We learn from repetition. So set your alarm. What are you going to do in the morning? And always give yourself a little bit of time to either get to your desk on time or get to the office on time if you're commuting, and get home. Have a routine so that at the end of the day, when you get home, you've got a little 5 to 10 minute routine that helps set your mindset. So, okay, that's left at the office. I'm at home either with my cat or with my loved ones, and it's all about them. This will, again, help cultivate letting go of those daily stresses that you pick up. And lastly, breathe. I mean, this is so obvious, but is it? When we are nervous, we start contracting down here in our diaphragm. And if you have consistent breathing of a not a good deep diaphragmatic breathing, it changes the composition of your blood. It literally will make your blood more acidic, and that leads to disease. So breathing deeply on a regular basis, it's what you come into this life with, and it's the last thing that you're going to experience. Having a good, deep connection to breathing is almost as if you're having a meditative state throughout the day. It helps you relax. And when our bodies are relaxed, then our minds can kind of relax. And again, when we're thinking relaxed, we're thinking more open. All right, so stay calm and positive and breathe. I mean, isn't it wonderful that we watch movies nowadays and how many scenes you see where somebody will stop and say, oh, you need to breathe, you need to breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And as we continue to cultivate this, then you'll have more incidents of hits of inspiration versus hits of fight or flight. That's all. Let me know what you think.